Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Thursday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Today's the big day. Today is when the Storybook Moments series of videos that I've been sharing with you all comes together. And I'm going to show you the presentation box. Actually, we're going to put it together and see how the little book fits inside. I also have some announcements to make later today in this video, so please stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss what I have to share with you. So let me show you what I have so far. I'm pretty excited about it. I think you're going to like it too. So here comes. So I have done a lot of prep work because I want to try to keep this video shorter rather than longer. I did say to bring your coffee, so I've got my coffee here. This is going to be a little bit longer than usual, but I think it'll be interesting. So here is the little book, okay, and I'm not going to go through this today. There is a flip-through video that you can watch, and that is up now on my YouTube channel. And in fact, there is a Storybook Memories playlist there. So you can see a whole bunch of different videos with various stages of the projects as I've been working through it. And there may be a few more added to it. So keep checking back and click that bell to be notified so that it tells you when a new video goes up, and please subscribe. Okay, so what I have today is I've got the box lid, okay, and then I've got the box bottom. All right, and there are several different components to each. So the only thing that I've kind of jumped ahead with is that I did go ahead and stitch my pecan pie mat to the top of the box. So I think you can see the pretty gold zigzag stitching. And I did that because I wanted the box top to relate to the front of the book where I have the same kind of treatment. Now last time in Watercolor Wednesday, I showed you how I went about painting this little background wash, okay? So it was just 3 simple steps. We did blue, red, and yellow. And if you want to see that video, you can go back to yesterday's and you can watch the replay of that. And then the other thing that I did was I die cut out these interesting die shapes that are supposed to be, well, let me get a little pointer here so I can show you what they're supposed to be. So these are mounds of earth, and you can actually slip some of the little veggies into these little slits that the die cuts out for you. And I went into a little more detail on that yesterday, but after the video I did sponge around the edges. I arranged them onto my backing here, and then I just trimmed to make sure that it was nice and flush. And then the other thing is that I sponged the edges because I think it's really important to sponge your edges to make it look more finished. So this will be mounted onto here, okay, so that's just a little very vanilla mat, and then that will be mounted onto the front of the book, the box. And then I also have an assortment of little watercolored die cuts that I painted, cut out, and I also sponged around all of these edges so that they have a nice kind of a finished look about them. So this is going to be the end of the video today. First, we've got some prep work to do. Now, I did not assemble the box ahead of time because it's much easier to glue down all of these mats onto the box while it's still flat. I did cut out all the tabs and so forth that we're going to need to put the box together. And if you're interested in learning more about box building or journal making, the essential basics, please stay tuned. Subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, because I will be announcing my evergreen course on how to do the paper crafting basics, and it's going to be very thorough and really help you to have sturdy, professional, beautiful looking projects that you can be very proud of. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you're subscribed. Now, on the inside of the box, top, you can see I have the back side of the stitching. So I want to cover that up. So I have here a piece of the Designer Series paper that came in the pack. This Designer Series paper will be back in stock on March the 10th, so just a couple more days in case you've been looking for that. And I see I've got a little neatening up over here, so let me just clip that so that comes together nicely. Okay, it's better. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my lid liner down. And for this I'm using my multi-purpose liquid glue. So this is the green glue, and I love this glue. I love the applicator because it has this fine little nozzle, and it allows me to get into these tiny little places. So it also has a wider tip on the bottom, which I could have used, but I'm perfectly happy with the fine tip. Now, the nice thing about the, let me find my tweezers. The nice thing about this glue is that it affords you a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't dry instantly. I'm just trying to catch the edge here. So that you can make sure that your border is nice and even all around. So I can just sort of give that a little tug and a push to get that exactly where I want it. And then where's my trusty bone folder? I can go ahead and give that a nice burnish, and this is going to help to make the glue adhere beautifully. It's going to smooth out any bumps that may be in there, and it's just going to make sure that this layer isn't going to go anywhere. So there is that job done. Now on the sides of the lid, I've already cut out and I sponged the edges of the Designer Series paper. This is part of the little plaid pack, and I don't remember the name of it. It's called Timeless Plaid. So these are 6 by 6. There's a whole bunch of different colors and two-sided designs. I love this paper. This has been a lot of fun. It coordinates beautifully with the DSP, and I used it a lot in the little book. So if you haven't tried that, you might want to get your hands on some of that before it's gone, because it's really nice. And there's a big assortment of different colors in there also. So I did take the time to sponge the edges. I don't want any of those white cores showing. And I'm doing just the same thing. I'm just going to mount these things up. Give that a little burnish. Come to the other side. Now, one of the things that distinguishes this type of a box that I'm making here with you today is that it's really sturdy. If you're going to take the time to spend decorating and adding all of these elements and making these beautiful little keepsakes that people are going to want to save for years and years, then I think it's important to take the time to make it sturdy so that it holds up. And one of the things that can be a little bit tricky when you're making a box that's this size and you're working with the 12 by 12 paper and cardstock, you have to be careful that you don't make your box too big. And so for the bottom of the box, I needed to work out the dimensions so that it would accommodate the 12 by 12 DSP and cardstock perfectly, which meant that I couldn't really reinforce the sides of the bottom the way I reinforced the sides of the top. And so this time I thought I would do a little bit of an experiment, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. Fingers crossed. We'll see in a little while how well it does work, but I think I found a way that I can make that bottom just as sturdy as the lid. Because by the time we're done with this lid and we get it all folded and put together, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 or more layers. So there is the top of the box, and I love the way that looks. So you can see that this checkerboard is just such a wonderful design element. And then here is the inside of my box, okay? And then of course the scene will be mounted on the top just like that. We're going to get to that in a minute. But right now I want to assemble the box, and the way to do that is I'm going to fold in these tabs. And I'm looking to make sure that my corner is nice and square. Okay, so I cut out these side pieces very carefully along the score line to make sure that that would come together really well. And I also want to be careful not to squeeze it in too much, because I want to make sure that the box top will fit over the bottom. So you want to be as careful and as precise as possible when you're making these corner joinings. So I'm just going to hold that for a second to see that that stays in place. I'm just checking to see if you can see and hear me. And so far so good. All right, I'm just working my way around. And this is another reason why I love using the liquid glue as opposed to the tape, because it gives me a minute to just ensure that everything's right where I want it to be. Okay, so once that starts to grab, I can just go around, double check I can take my bone folder now and give those tabs a nice press, and that's going to help to keep everything exactly where I want it. So that looks pretty good right now. And then finally, the last thing I want to do is just fold in my flaps. My sides. So there we go. So not only do I have this nice extra reinforcement on the sides of the box, but it also neatens up the inside of the box, and it gives you this beautiful smooth fold so that your fingers don't catch on any rough edges. So I'm loving that, and that looks beautiful. I'm going to put this aside. And let's get on to the bottom of the box. So here, this is the basic shape for the bottom of the box, and it's a little bit flimsy. So I had the idea that what I would do would be to double it up. So I created this little inner box to help make it a little more sturdy. Now my flaps are going to be sandwiched in between, so I have a nice neat edge, okay? But it's not too soon for me to be able to adhere this portion. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just make sure all my edges fold up. Okay, that seems pretty good. Give that a press. Now I can look at that. Make sure that that's right where I want it. It looks perfect. Okay, once you're happy with the position, then you can go ahead and give it good burnishing, like so. Okay, and then on the bottom of the box, I have another piece of the DSP to line the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and add that now while it's flat. Alright, so there's the inside of the box, and then on the outside of the box I have this mat. And what I like to do with these is I like to sandwich my ribbons in between here. So for instance, if I just grab a little piece of ribbon. So this is the, what's it called? This is the Petal Pink Scalloped Ribbon. And this is very pretty. And this is part of the mega collection of the Storybook Moments set. And I haven't decided yet whether or not I want to put a ribbon on the box. Excuse me. Time for coffee. Cheers, everybody. And the reason I haven't decided yet is because I haven't seen how the art looks on the top. So I want to wait until that's positioned, and then I'll be able to decide if and where I want to place my ribbon. So I'm going to put this in reserve for the moment. We'll come back to that if need be. And I'm going to finish putting together this box now. Excuse me. So the idea here is that these tabs are going to be sandwiched in between, like so. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the first two. Just holding that for a moment. Make sure everything's all tucked in. I'm going to do the same thing here. Go ahead and give that a burnish. Get my outer flap. And I'm using the point of my bone folder to get into all of these corners and creases. Okay, so there's that. Now these side pieces need a little bit of glue. So I'm just going to do that. Now, if you wanted to, and I thought about this, you could also use your DSP to line the box if you wanted to have the all-over pattern. But I wanted, for this particular box, because this little book is kind of chunky and it has some weight to it, I want to be able to have the thicker cardstock just to give it that much more strength. So now I'm just going on each side, giving that a final burnish, and I'm being quite firm with this. Okay, so there it is, looking very cute. Now let's get our lid back, make sure that fits on. And that fits perfectly. Okay, so there's the basis of our box, and it's looking super cute. All right, so I will decide at the end whether or not I want to include a ribbon. I do like to include the ribbons, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with what's going on the top of the box. So now let's get to our decoration, okay? And so this is a little bit damp. This glue needs a chance to dry now. There's a lot of glue on here. I can feel the coolness of it. All right, so I'm just going to put this aside, and I'm going to look at our decoration for the top. So when I prepared the watercolor for the front of the book, I used a product to seal it. Okay, so I have this little jar of wax that I used to seal the surface because I knew that the book would be handled a lot and I wanted to protect the watercolor. But here's my problem. For the top of the box, I have to adhere some of the elements that I want to include in the decoration, and if I put that microglaze on the surface, then I'm afraid that the pieces are not going to stick down as well as I would like for them to. So I want to be careful about where, if and where, I apply my protection. So right now, I know that there's going to be a lot of action going on down here with these little vegetables, but they're going to be able to move in and out. I have in my little collection of characters here, I have some of our little friends that I want to include in the scene. So I've got the big bunny. He's our main character. Let me zoom you in so you can see a little bit better. All right, there we go. So there's Big Bunny. And then I want this to be a kind of a garden scene. So I've got this little fellow, and he's got a, looks like a beet. I should make that a beet. Hold on a minute. Pause, please. I'm going to make that a beet. Let me grab my water painter. Excuse me. Okay. This will just take a second. I'm going to grab, oh my goodness gracious. All right, I'm going to grab my brush. Now with the water painters, I've got the water in the handle. So I can just squeeze a couple of drops out, like so. And I'm going to give that there we go. All right. So that's looking very cute. Okay, so now our friend has a beat. My thought was he'd be over here someplace. I'm going to save the hedgehog and the chipmunks for another something. I'm going to put them back in their little envelope. And then I've got this adorable little bunny. So this is like a little baby bunny. So he could be looking up at the big bunny. So that's what I had in mind for the basis for the scene. But I want to pop these guys up. So I have dimensionals, and I'm going to go ahead and get them ready to go. I've got both the large and the small ones. So I'm going to use a couple of the mini dimensionals on the ears. And I'm just going to add, if I can get this off of there, a little bit of glue on the bottom to keep his feet grounded. Okay, and then this little guy in the foreground can use these edges. Actually, I think I need to go with the mini for this. He's going to go something like that. And then this tiny baby is just going to go flat. I'm going to glue him down into the back. Now, before I decide my placement for these things, I have to get out my little bag of goodies, which is here. So let's see what I've got to choose from. All right, so here are my carrots. I've got a bunch of carrots. I've got some beets. I like the beets because they have a lot of foliage on them. I've got this adorable little trowel. And again, all of these edges have been sponged. So I think it's really important to pay attention to detail, because it just makes it that much better. And so I took the time to make sure that all the edges were sponged. If there was a little bit too much white showing, I trimmed that away. And I've got these flower pots. I think they might be a little too big for this scene, but let's see. first thing we've got to do is get our carrots situated. So to do that, I'm just going to poke that down. You see how they go right beautifully into those little slits that the die cut for us? And I'm going to put the beets in the foreground. Something like that. And then I have my trowel, which can go in here. Get our friends back. They can be hiding. Okay, we can just have the bunny's ears poking up, and we can have this baby hidden completely, just the ears, and I think that is so cute. Alright, so tuck him down. So I think that's where I want everybody placed. Something like that. Maybe. Now you remember in Beatrix Potter's Tale of Peter Cottontail, if I remember correctly, I think he fell into the watering can at one point. So I like the idea of having the watering can there. See, do we want in the front? I don't think so. I'll put it back here. You just put that so that it's just sort of in the background. And then this little fellow in front of it. Right, so I think that's pretty cute. Not sure if we'll add this or not. Possibly. Maybe. Maybe. This could also tuck down inside there. But I would have to reinforce that the handle to make that a little bit stiffer. So that's a maybe.